G'day everyone, hope you're all staying safe out there and doing well, and welcome to the first video in a series of videos probably covering the guitar amps that I have. I've got a few guitar amps in this corner just here that you can't see, and I've never done a video or a review on a guitar amp before. I've mainly stuck to pedals and guitars, so I thought I'd try my hand at doing an amp review. And I thought we would start with this. This is the KLD Uranus 5H guitar amplifier head. Now, KLD mainly specialise in amplifier kits, so DIY amplifier kits, and there's a few videos of those on YouTube. I know the YouTube channel Guns and Guitars have done a lot of KLD kits, and they seem to be pretty good. This is not a kit. This is it's not made by KLD themselves, it's made in China. It is a 5 watt switchable down to 3 watt recording guitar amplifier head. It is a single channel, it's got a spring reverb, it's fantastic. So let's go over the front panel and the back panel. So we start with a normal and bright switch. The bright switch is very bright, but it is quite a dark amp, I will say. We've got low and high inputs like a lot of amps do, a gain control, reverb on and off switch, then we can dial in the amount of reverb here, bass, middle, treble, EQ. We've got a boost or normal switch. The boost switch really fattens up the sound of this amp quite dramatically. And then we've just got a volume and then the standby and on switch. So the on-off switch is actually on the back and the standby and on switch is on the front. So that's the front panel. On the back we have a effects loop. We've got a cab emulated headphones out, which is very cool. We've got a DI out, which apparently is simulating the Hughes & Kettner Redbox DI out, so that's very cool. I did say effects loop, so we have also a foot switch. And then we've got our pentode and triode switch to switch it from 5 watts to 3 watts. So this amp is sold as a low wattage bedroom recording amp, but I must say it is very loud. It sounds very similar in terms of volume to my 15 watt amp that is next to it. So it's a very loud 5 watts and honestly a very loud 3 watts as well. The tubes are two 12AX7 tubes and then an EL84 tube, so very common tube layout, I guess, for these small home use amps. It's in a fairly small chassis. It's probably the biggest lunchbox style chassis out there. It's significantly bigger than like an Orange Micro Terra or no, Tiny Terra. Yeah, significantly bigger than an Orange Tiny Terra amp or anything like that. But it does have a real spring reverb and it's got, you know, a full 3-band EQ and things like that. So I'm not running anything through the effects loop at the moment, but just trust me that it works as any good effects loop in an amp should. But I do have a boost pedal on the floor, which we'll get to in a second. We're also using my Artist Strat, which is the Seafoam green with the baked maple neck, which a lot of you guys have requested to see more. So I thought I'd use that today. We've also going through a Bigera 1112 TS, I believe, which has a turbo sound speaker in it. It is also running through a cabinet down here, which is just a homemade open back cabinet, which you'll hear from the camera audio. But in terms of miking up, you can see we've just got the Bigera cab mic'd up. So let's start with all the controls at noon. The gain is at 3, the reverb is at 2 and the volume is at 4, but the EQ is at noon. And we'll start in the low input so you can hear how that sounds. So you you can hear, it's quite loud already. This is on the 5 watt mode at the moment in the low input. That's on the EQ at flat. We'll muck around on the low input for a little bit. I'll adjust the EQ, but we'll jump to the high input pretty soon because I think that sounds best. So let's lower the bass, boost the mids and boost the treble a bit. We might up the gain a bit as well, and we'll compensate by turning down the volume. So that's the gain at about 6 o'clock and the volume about 3, and the EQ has been adjusted slightly. Let's turn the bright switch on so you can see what that does. So as you can hear, it's very bright. I find that's best if you turn the treble down to central position at 5, then turn the bright switch on, or just crank the treble and leave the bright switch off. Either way will work. Let's jump over to the high input because that's where I prefer it. So you can tell at this level on the gain control, it really wants to go, it really wants to drive. We'll do that in a second, but first I just want to show you the difference between the pentode and triode mode. So this is the 5 watt mode. I can't remember which one that is. I'll turn the gain back a bit and the volume up. Then if we turn that down, so you can hear it got a lot quieter. It also changes the character of the amp a little bit. So I definitely prefer it in the high power mode. So we'll switch it back to that. But it's nice to know that you've got the low power mode if you're playing late at night. Although if you're recording, you can just take a DI or the headphone socket straight out into a mixing desk or something like that and you're good to go. Let's go to a clean sound now and we'll whack that bright switch in again just so you can hear that again in the high input now. So like I said, it is a very bright switch, but it's there if you need it and it'll probably work great for some humbuckers or something. We might try that in a second. Let's have a look at the reverb now. So let's just go to the neck pickup. So you can hear the reverb coming in the back. We can turn it off with the switch. So we can turn it back on. If we crank it all the way, it does get very atmospheric and drippy. So let's turn that back down to 2. And I'll show you the boost switch, which is the last feature I believe on this amp. So we'll turn the gain up a bit, turn the volume back down. This is without the boost switch on the bridge pickup. With the boost switch. So it doesn't really add any more gain per se, but what it does do is really fatten up that sound. So I'll demonstrate that again. We'll go to the bridge pickup now. It's really great on the low watt setting. We'll show you that now because it really fattens up the sound when you're playing at a low volume. So here's the low watt setting, 3 watts without the boost switch. Whack that boost switch in. It does take pedals. It's not the absolutely greatest pedal platform amp out there, but it takes pedals well enough to make them work. So let's drive the gain up a bit and we can see what that sounds like when I put a boost pedal in. So I've just got a tone gauge gain booster, which is just like a tube screamer with a bit more flat EQ. So it kind of does a thing with pedals, but yeah, it's my other amps are very good at taking pedals. This one's just okay. Let's switch over to something with humbuckers so we can hear that. So I've got my Vantage standard Les Paul here, which I love because it's got the book matched headstock. It's got a humbucker in the bridge. It's just a medium gain, kind of like a Duncan distortion copy, so ceramic high to medium to high gain pickup, and a Vanson HB90 in the neck. So we'll stick to the bridge pickup. This is the clean sound we've got on this Les Paul guitar. It's tuned to E flat as well. So that's the gain at 2, and you can hear it's already driving pretty hard. So this is the high power mode as well, so there is not a whole lot of headroom. So if we switch it back to the low input though, we might get some of that headroom back. So you can hear that headroom is back now. We'll compensate with the volume. But now we've got more of a clean tone for this pretty high output humbucker. If we turn the bright switch on the humbucker, it's going to get pretty bright. Also starts to drive the amp a bit more as well. Let's crank up the gain and we'll see how it sounds with the boost pedal in. So, sounds great with the Les Paul as well. Let's just pop it on standby as the camera is falling now, I can see. I'm not going to demonstrate the DI out, but it is a very good DI. It does need a bit of shaping, like all DIs from a tube amp do. It does need a bit of shaping. It's a very light amp as well, and it's not too bulky. It is great for recording at home, and I did use it to record a few tracks on my band's album. It was used on a lot of the rhythm tracks just as a medium gain, just thickener, which worked really well. It has a bunch of different inputs on the back for different ohms of speaker, which is cool. It's also a very reliable amp. I've had it for a few years now, and I bought it used off a guy, and it hasn't failed me at all since then, which can't be said about some of my other tube amps. Let's talk about some of the negatives with this amp. It's very dark. The treble control really has to be cranked to get that definition that I like anyway. And if you do use the bright switch to get that, then it's too bright. So you've just got to find that balancing act between the treble control and the bright switch. Once you find that balance though, you'll be good to go with it. It's not a super high gain amp, so if you're looking for, you know, something to do your metal or whatever with, get a pedal or just get a different amp. I don't think this is going to be the amp for you. The low power setting is still quite loud, but it does lose a lot of the tone of the high power setting that I like. So just beware of that. If you're buying this for a low volume bedroom amp, it's not going to sound as good in the low volume setting or in the low power setting as it does in the high power setting, which is the 3-watt mode compared to the 5-watt mode. And as I said before, it takes pedals okay, but it's not the best pedal platform amp I've seen out there. So I would say if you're looking for a just bluesy rock, or clean platform amp just to do recording with, it's perfect. If you're not using many pedals and you're just, you know, rocking out straight into an amp or playing some jazzy stuff or some bluesy stuff, and you just need something to record late at night, this is the perfect amp for you. It also lends itself to being post-processed in a DAW, so it's great for that if you're looking for an amp to kind of shape afterwards into your own thing. It's probably not for you if you're looking for that perfect pedal platform amp. It's probably not for you if you don't like dark sounding amps, or if you like amps that are too bright, funnily enough. And if you really do want a low wattage bedroom volume or late night volume type tube amplifier, I don't think you can go anything more than 1 watt, to be honest. This at its lowest setting is 3 watts. I've got another amp that I'm going to video soon for this series that switches down to 0.5 watt. That's fantastic for low volume bedroom late night playing. So there you go, there's my review on the KLD Uranus 5H guitar amplifier. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you thought of this amplifier in the comments below. It's not a very popular amplifier either, so I'd love to see or hear from any of you guys who do have one at home. But other than that, that's it from me. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next amplifier review.